Would you like to own your own multi-property portfolio and be financially free living off the passive income it produces? Or perhaps you'd just like a few buy-to-lets to supplement your income. Or perhaps you just want or need a couple of properties to help with your pension. Whatever your reasons for buying and investing in property, I can help you, so please keep watching. When I first started investing for myself, I bought £2 million of property in my first 4 years, and that was with starting from scratch and with none of my own money. Property prices have increased a lot since then, so that would be a bit like buying almost £4.5 million of property today. Looking at the market now, there are many similarities to when I first started, and many experts agree that if you want to be financially free using property, now is the best time in years in which to buy. If the experts are right, this means that this is the perfect opportunity for you to do the same as I did and put together your own multi-million-pound property portfolio, should you want to. The same techniques and strategies I used then still work just as well today, and in fact I'm using them to buy even more property today. Whether you want a large portfolio or just a few properties, you can tap into my experience and knowledge and achieve your property goals far more quickly and easily than I did. But you might be thinking, why do I need help? Why can't I just go out and buy some property? Good question, but let me ask you a question in return. If buy-to-let and property investing is so easy, why do so many get it so wrong? I meet a lot of people who jump into investing, but who just don't get it right. I'm often surprised that so many people will commit to spending such large amounts of money, but spurn the chance of help and advice first. In my experience, when things do go wrong, it's often because of one or more of the following 3 things. Number 1, many people try their hand at property investing without really knowing what they want to achieve from property. Sure, they may have vague ideas like, I want to get into property, or I want to be a property investor, or I want to buy a few properties, but it's all a bit wishy-washy. They might think, I know what I want to make some money from property. But does that mean make some income from cash flow, or by building up equity, or even by making cash lump sums from developing and trading? Each answer would require following a different strategy and buying different types of properties, possibly in different locations. I found from trial and error and from mentoring many investors one-on-one that unless you're specific about what you want, your investing is going to be wishy-washy as well. And that's why so many investors don't get the results they hope for. Second is that if you don't really know what you want to achieve, then how can you choose the right strategy to achieve what you want to achieve? And if you don't have a strategy, then how can you possibly buy the properties that are right for you? The truth is you can't. After all, if you don't really know what you want, then any old property will do. And as a result, many investors buy the wrong property or properties and then wonder why it all went wrong, or at least didn't work out as well as they hoped. Any old property won't do, but sadly many investors just end up buying a house around the corner because it's handy to manage, or we got it at 5% off the asking price, or it's a house in a nice area, or I haven't seen it yet, but it was so cheap, what could possibly go wrong? And yes, I have heard somebody say that. I'm sure you get the idea, but the point is that unless you know what you're trying to achieve, have the right strategy to achieve what you're trying to achieve, and buy using property investment fundamentals, you will always be at risk of making a very costly mistake. Believe me, I've seen it happen far too many times. Many investors ignore or don't understand these basic truths and principles, and far from being financially free in property, end up stressed and struggling to make it all work. And third, many investors are tempted to hand over responsibility for their investing to third parties who naturally don't care as much about the outcome as the investor themselves. For example, I've never fully understood the appeal of firms that sell new build properties at an apparent substantial discount, only to find that the property doesn't perform as it should because the figures were overinflated from the start. Another thing which winds me up are those agents who offer so-called below market value deals on distressed property, and who charge several £1000s for finding you a terraced property, which you could easily have found for yourself if you had just known how and where to look. And this is even more noxious when the properties are advertised as cash flow positive, when by using just a little common sense you can quickly see just from looking at the brief details on the advert that they haven't accounted for all the costs. If you know how to find bargain property yourself, you don't need to pay out finder's fees or put yourself at risk of buying a so-called cash flow positive property which will eat into your finances. Ending up with a poor property and paying someone else a finder's fee for your troubles is a nightmare situation you'll want to avoid. And I haven't even got into the point that many people think that buying a buy-to-let investment is like buying their own home. It isn't. Buying an investment property isn't anything like buying your own home, but many investors treat them both the same. Big mistake. There's a fundamental truth about property investing which I discovered in my role as a consultant, and which explains why some investors make it whilst the majority don't. And it's this. Anyone can buy a property, but not everyone buys the properties that are right for them. In my opinion, that's the difference between success and failure, or the difference between doing okay and doing very well indeed. The good news is I'm going to show you how you can put together your own portfolio and how you can easily avoid all of these mistakes so that you can buy the properties that are right for you. Having built my property portfolio from scratch and starting with virtually none of my own money, I've constructed my very own course in a book, all in one easy to absorb volume, although it is big, 178 pages of A4, so that you can have all the information you need at your fingertips. And I've called it the Successful Property Investor's Strategy Workshop, and in it I tell the story of how I built my portfolio, and I'll show you exactly how you can do the same. It's not rocket science. Anyone can do this, but you have to go about it the right way. Indeed, you can copy my model if you want to. And that's why I'll show you everything I did, right and wrong. I've even included real-life examples of actual properties I've bought, so you can see how it all works in practice and witness just how it's working for me. It took me years of trial and error to learn all of this, so let me save you time and money and help you to reduce your risk by tapping into my over 30 years of experience. I now have property with a combined value of over $4.5 million. Not bad considering I started with nothing other than the house I live in. But I know from personal experience that taking the theory and applying it in practice isn't that easy if you aren't sure how to get started. Now that I've created the Successful Property Investor Strategy Workshop, I can help you to do exactly that. I'll help you to plan for success and to put the theory into practice. In the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop, you'll learn, and these are just a taster, how I went from being broke with a limited income and virtually no savings, and within 4 years owned cash-flowing properties worth £2 million, and how you can do the same. Everything I did right so you can copy my model for success. How you can learn from my mistakes and save yourself a lot of time, effort and money by avoiding the things that don't work. How virtually anyone can build a portfolio of multiple properties producing thousands in income and hundreds of thousands in equity. Why ordinary people like you and me can be successful property investors. Why absolutely anyone can buy a property, but how to ensure you buy the property that is right for you. And I can't stress enough how important that is. How to discover the strategy that's perfectly right for you, and then plan for property success accordingly. And loads more. In fact, this list hardly does the book justice. It's got so much good information in it. I could go on and on. There's a lot of extremely valuable content I could tell you about, but I think you get the idea. It tells you what I did and everything you need to know so that you can do it too. And I know that the information in the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop is of immense value to all property investors. All I'm ever interested in is value for money, and that applies whether I'm buying, especially property, but also whether I'm selling. The Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop is available as an e-book for you to download now and print off, or to read on your tablet or Kindle for only £29.97. Or it's available in hard copy as a manual in a 4-ring binder for only £49.97. Plus, as a special bonus, if you order now, I'll give you a copy of my special report, Everything You Wanted to Know About Buy-to-Let Finance But Didn't Know Who to Ask, which is an MP3 recording and a PDF transcript of an interview in which I grill one of the UK's top experts on buy-to-let finance and how to get it. It's so full of great information that I've considered selling it as a separate product for £29.97 in its own right, but I will send you a copy free when you order your copy of the Successful Property Investor Strategy Workshop. And naturally, there's a full 30-day, no quibble, money-back guarantee of complete satisfaction, which I trust you won't need, but it's there anyway. So there's really nothing for you to lose, and so you can order with complete confidence. So please order your copy now, and you can soon be on your way to starting your own highly profitable property portfolio and securing your financial freedom. So grab your copy of the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop by clicking the Order Now button below. Here's to successful property investing.